session is going to be on redevelop today and tomorrow. So what I would suggest that we'll have lot of interactive sessions. We'll have most importantly the addressing your questions. If you have seen, we have divided in 2 days. First day we are going to speak more on redevelopment of MADA societies, redevelopment of housing societies, and the FSI, and how the new development control rule is going to affect. After my opening remark of 1 hour, maybe by 11:15, I invited one engineer who was earlier with the municipal corporation, then he was with the SRA. Now he is a consultant and doing licensing and getting the plan passed and all that. And of course, he is a regular faculty, uh, Mr. Talreja, Mahesh Talreja. So now he is a consultant to number of developers and especially giving the feasibility report and other things. What we want at the end of the day, that each one of you who are attending this program should be able to at least work out a feasibility, should be able to understand what are the intricacies in the feasibility, and if possible, wherever possible, of course, a lot of you will be the consultants, so you can work like a project management consultant, keeping that in the mind, because feasibility report was today, so we have kept it the tomorrow, and there is a role of a project management consultant also, which we will be discussing tomorrow. Now there is another thing which is coming up now. You must be aware. Even the Times of India, Mumbai Mirror, everybody is carrying about the self redevelopment. Now, how Mumbai Bank is giving the funding for the self redevelopment? What is their policy document? That we'll discuss for maybe 1 hour tomorrow. And what are the intricacies in that? How those intricacies can be taken care? And is there any other viable media wherein we can raise the fund for the self? What is happening is, you must be aware, for the last 3 years, since the demonetization or since the new government came in, lot of demonetization or RERA, then of course GST, and the complete drying of the investors. There is no investors in the real estate now. All the investors have run away from the real estate. So they are looking only for the end user. Now saying that end user, now the investors who have already got the properties in the housing sector, they also want to move out. Basically because of two reasons. One, because of the RERA, now your agreement requires to be registered. So if the agreement is not registered, you will not get the required protection under RERA. So therefore you need to register. Secondly, even it is an obligation on the developer that every promoter's or rather allottee's agreement has to be registered when you are receiving more than 10%. So keeping that in the mind, so around 6% stamp duty now, and another 1% you can take average is other expenses, registration expenses. So it comes to around 7%. Then 12% is your GST. So which means nearly 19%. How much income an investor can earn? Maybe 15%, 20%. So if all the income is going towards this, then the investors are not that keen. Earlier people were coming to the real estate because they were in a position to park their black money. Now even black money they are not able to generate, and even if it is generated, they cannot park because the agreement should be not below the ready reckoner value, which means there is a difference, very meager difference between the ready reckoner value and the actual market value. So the ready reckoner over a period, every year 10%, 15%, they are going on increasing. And today, more or less, I would say, I'm not saying in South Mumbai and other parts of Mumbai, but more or less, if you look at the extended suburb or suburb, the ready reckoner value and this one, maybe around 10 to 15% is the difference. But otherwise, it is more or less, it is matching. Keeping that in mind, self-redevelopment is taking a major boost, and government is also supporting in one or the other way. So whether the self-development is possible, and if that is possible, how we as a consultant will be able to help. I know some of them are there in the housing societies also. Many office bearers are there, and some consultants, advocates, chartered accountants, and of course project management consultants are also there. So what we will do is, before I proceed further, in order to put the tune going, I would request you to give some of your main concern area. What is that you are looking in this particular session for 2 days? Because earlier we were keeping one day, and sometimes we have kept for half day. Now we thought let us keep it for 2 days. So all the concerns are addressed in both the sessions. So you can start, Anilji, because he is one of the landowners where he has a property at Bandra, maybe looking for redevelopment.
Hi, I'm Anil Gidwani. We talk about self-redevelopment, which I think is a wonderful approach, but practically banks are not willing to lend. So that has to be addressed because talking about self-redevelopment without funding is no use. So we have to either find out how it can be done, and I think there are some cooperative banks that are helping and provide impetus to this funding.
For the purpose of development, even the banks are not funding. When it is a landowner or tenanted building, it is difficult. Even in fact, now after RERA, the financial institutions, for two reasons, you may be aware, there are two reasons which is bothering financial institution to give the loan for the builders. So builders are really in trouble. They are not getting the money from the financial institution for two reasons. One, you may be knowing insolvency and bankruptcy code. Are you aware of this? Where financial institution earlier version, before the ordinance could come, before the amendment could do, so before that the allottees were considered as unsecured creditors. The flat purchaser were considered as unsecured creditors. Now after the amendment by way of ordinance, now the allottees means flat purchasers, are considered as the financial creditors. So which means now they are in par with the financial institution. Even if they have got a secured creditors, they should have the first preference. But however, the allottees get first preference. This is one. Second thing which has happened is because of RERA. Now in RERA, what RERA has passed one judgment also in Maharashtra, that if there is a financial creditor, he is treated as a promoter. The moment he takes over the property under the SARFAESI Act, he steps into the shoes of the promoter, which means all the obligations which has been done by the promoters, he need to fulfill. This is what happened in the case of Bhaktani. If you are aware of the Bhaktani who is behind the bar, I don't know whether he has come out. Bhaktani developers, where more than 500 investors or maybe 1000 investors, he had taken the money and he was behind the bar. And when the matter went to Maharera, where one of the creditors had taken over the property at Powai, Gender Finance, and later on the Maharera passed an order saying that since Gender Finance has taken over the property, now they step into the shoes of the promoter, they become an investor and promoter or the financer promoter, and therefore they need to fulfill the commitments which are already handed over or which were done by the developer. So because of these two reasons, funding is very difficult to the builders as well as to the, of course, self-finance, we will have to look into it. So funding is one which we need to look into. Yes, we will definitely see and how the fundings are happening. Any other thing? So therefore, if you will see today, almost all the fundings are coming through the investors. How it is being done? That is with the way of subvention scheme. There is a lot of subvention scheme which is happening. We will discuss on the funding option. Yeah. Any other thing? Yeah. So the second is, what are the various documents required? What are the stages where we need to do the documentation? And what are the precautions that need to be taken? One more session is there on the today or rather tomorrow, which we will be taking, is how to select the developer also. What precaution need to be taken when we are selecting the developer? Wait. Just 1 minute.
What are the risks involved in the self-development and what are the risks involved in the development through builder? And secondly, what is the accountability of the society, that is office bearers of the society during redevelopment? The risk in both the fields, that is self-development and redevelopment both.
My question is regarding new DP 2034. what are the implications of that and interpretations also? Because it has recently come out, so we would like to know what are the interpretations and what is the implications. Thank you.
My question is that after signing the agreement with the builder, if builder wants to delay for a particular reason, what will be the society's uh, important information?
If there is a delay, because lot of the consent which the developer take, it says irrevocable consent, and even in the development right agreement also they write it's the irrevocable development rights, and that is also given. But over a period of 8 9 years, even after lapse of 8 years 9 years, the developers they do not deliver the position, or they do not, even some places they don't start the construction. In that case, can we terminate them? If at all, how to terminate? That could be one. The second is, even if we are terminating them, what will be the repercussion and what will be the accountability on the society? Now, after post RERA, let me tell you, housing societies are also considered as promoter. So therefore, the way I was talking about financial institution become a promoter if they take over the project, same way the housing society, if you terminate the developer, then the society also becomes the promoter. And then whatever liability that the promoter has created, the developer has created, after getting a development agreement, all that need to be fulfilled by the society. So therefore, post RERA, though the developer says we are going to be, regulated, and therefore we will not be giving a bank guarantee. That is the, the stand taken by a number of developers. But let me tell you honestly, though the stand is taken like that, the societies need to go for the bank guarantee, because post RERA there is lot of further responsibilities. However, I have seen after RERA, nobody is ready, none of the developer is ready to give the bank guarantee. And now one more thing which has happened, redevelopment, though it is considered to be lucrative, but again last 1 year or 2 year, new developers are entering. When I say new developer, there is a contractor who wants to become a developer, or somebody who has no experience, they are coming. But the people who are already experienced, they have rather given up some of their, DA. Whatever the development agreement they have taken, I have seen in the market, they are giving up. They are saying, no, we are not interested in further pursuing it, because now we have got a lot of work commitment. Because now RERA is coming, the termination is happening, everything is happening. Instead, they say that, okay, you appoint a new developer. So the good developers, or who can actually deliver, who had lot of commitments earlier, they have started withdrawing. So now new breed is coming in, of course, without much experience. Now the society need to be more careful about it. That's the only thing I can say. So this, of course, will help us. Anything else? Yeah.
Premium element is a very great big part of the redevelopment cost, and the clarity to the housing societies or the consultants is not on the aspect of premium, how much premium will be payable to the state and the BMC.
Yeah, there are different types of premiums. If you load a slum TDR, the premium for open space definition is less. Different calculations are there. It is not that we just load the TDR or purchase the premium. Different types of premiums are there. We'll discuss. Okay. Now I think with this, what we'll do is we'll start with the session, and any questions, we'll try to answer them. Yeah. Yeah. See, within the society within the society, that is possible, provided your bylaw should permit it. That's correct. No, I'll just society within society. Now, can you just elaborate? You have a large society. That means 10 to 15 buildings? Okay. Okay, Shere Punjab. So as far as Shere Punjab is concerned, there are about, I think, 320 plots. Okay. Now when there are 320 plots, naturally, each plot earlier was given 500 square meter, 1000 square meter plots, and some plots are converted already into housing societies. So with the permission of a parent society, it is possible. As far as Shere Punjab is concerned, it is a mixed type of society where plotting is also there and building is also there. Then you will have to go to the court, and court will consider, and court will definitely favor you. Right now, your managing committee in Shere Punjab is favoring and giving the NOCs. That is what I understand. But otherwise, to take it in a general sense, normally, if you have to give this type society within society, there is already a plot type of society, plot owners type of society. Now, each plot owner wants to develop it further. It happens in Pune, it happens in Mumbai, Chambur, and various places. So, if that is the case, the individual plot owners can appoint a developer, construct, and they can form a housing society, and that housing society can become a member of the parent society. And that is possible only if there is an amendment in the parent society's bylaws. And normally they do that. Okay. If they don't do the amendment, then it is not possible. Yeah.
If in a society out of 24 members, 23 members and the developer are ready to redevelop, the DA has been signed unanimously by 24 developers, but 24 members, but during vacation that one member decides not to vacate, who should take up the onus and who has a better probability of getting a result?
There is a number of High Court and Supreme Court judgments where the minorities do not have any locus standi. It is the majority, the balance of inconvenience is to the majority. Once the majority people have taken a decision and accordingly DA has been done and everything is moved, naturally it is the minority who will have to suffer. Unless until that minority is, put into lot of hardship. Even if he is put in the hardship, the courts will say that go with the development, but whatever is his hardship we'll hear later. But they will not stop the redevelopment. Yeah, that is the ultimately eviction suit will go before the Honorable High Court, because this is a or city civil court, cooperative court. No, cooperative court they are not allowing. Let me tell you legally what they are saying is, if it is a business of the society, any dispute touching the business of the society, then it will go before the cooperative court. The question is whether the redevelopment is a business of the society. So there are n number of judgments, at least 15 to 20 judgments of Honorable High Court, wherein it said that the cooperative court does not have the jurisdiction because the redevelopment is not a main objectives of the society. The main objective of the society is to maintain, manage, administer, and redevelopment is demolishing the building and you are reconstructing, and therefore it will go before the Honorable High Court straight away. Because the value of the property is more than 1 crore, naturally civil court will not have the jurisdiction. It will go as a suit for specific performance to evict before the Honorable High Court. So n number of judgments are there, and in 6 months to 1 year. Naturally, it depends on the terms of the agreement. In the development agreement, whom you put terms, but naturally it will be the society who has to make them vacate. If the society is not doing anything on their role and member is also not vacating, naturally who is suffering? The developer. Because developer has already got a IOD, he has already paid some people rent, so he is suffering. Nobody is acting. So therefore, against the society, against that member, he will go before the court. Societies will never go to the court. It is the developer who will take them to the court. Okay. In the case of self-development, maybe society will have to go. There we may go ahead and get it in the cooperative court also. That is not tested. Nobody has tested it. But self-development, I think we can take it to the society because it is a dispute between a member and the society. Here there is a developer who is third party involved. Anyhow, so to take it, today, as I said, there are 4 topics that we are talking about. First thing is overview we'll talk. We'll also talk about the impact of the new DCR relevant to basically 2 things. One is about the private housing society, how the redevelopment will happen, how the FSI and TDR is going to affect. The second is about the MADA society. And the last we will take about the 3rd January 2009 circular. You have heard about, and recently the Bombay High Court has held that 3rd January 2009 circular is only a recommendatory. It's a what is known as directions, but they are not the law. They are not the law of the land. So if it is followed in spirit and it has been followed in few lines and majorities are agreeing, then even if you are not followed systematically 3rd January 2009 circular, this does not hold the DA as a illegal. What I mean is 3rd January 2009 circular is not considered to be foolproof and they are not mandatory. They are called as a recommendatory. Now, number of societies, at least 6 to 7, Honorable High Court has given a judgment. If time permits, we will discuss on that. So, 3rd January 2009 circular we will discuss. If it is possible, my request is, at the end of the session or even during the session, I would be very happy if you are able to give some inputs as to how 3rd January 2009 circular can be improved. The reason I will tell you, the government has already come out with a new chapter. Cabinet has passed a new chapter in the Cooperative Societies Act for a housing society. Are you aware of this? Recently, have you heard in the newspaper? If you are not aware, just let me tell you that Maharashtra Cooperative Societies Act is a uniform law for all type of societies. There is a sugar factories, there is a cooperative bank, there is a credit society, there is an agriculture society, there is a milk dairies, fisheries. Take the number of type of societies. There are basically 54 types of societies depending on the purpose for which it is registered. Housing society is also one. So all this Maharashtra Cooperative Societies Act, all these 54 types of societies are governed under the Maharashtra Cooperative Societies Act 1960. Now, since Maharashtra Cooperative Societies Act 1960 is dealing with 54 types of society and there is a uniform law. But when you look at other societies, they are all doing business. Are you getting my point? They are all doing business. Whether it is a sugar factories, whether it is a agriculture also, they are doing agriculture produce, agriculture marketing, dairies, fisheries. You take the name of the society, credit society, cooperative bank. All these are doing a business activity. But when you look at a housing society, the most important factor is to provide services to its members. Maybe in the form of giving the house or maybe maintaining the house or something. The second most important in the housing society is that every person has got a share, but that is only for the representative purpose. It is only for the namesake. Otherwise, what he is owning is the flat or shop or offices. Are you getting my point? So that means the inherent value of that share is not the share value of 500 rupees or 1000 rupees which he is holding. The value of that share is becoming the value of the property. So what happens is, because of the nomination, we say that the share may be transferred. Because the cooperative law says, section 30 says, on the death of a member, the share should be transferred to the nominee. Now the share should be transferred to nominee. Even the Supreme Court has held, High Court has held, if there is a nominee, share should be transferred. Is it that share is only 500 rupees or 1000 rupees? The answer is no. It has got the worth of 25 lakhs, 30 lakhs, 50 lakhs, 100, 1 crore, I don't know, the value of the flat. So therefore, there is something called Transfer of Property Act which comes into effect. There is a law of succession comes into effect. And therefore, there is a mixture of so many things. So therefore, the housing society requires a special treatment. Out of 2 lakh societies in Maharashtra, 1 lakh societies are housing societies. So how can this be equated with all other type of society which are doing a business? So therefore, the Maharashtra government constituted a committee consisting of 10 people, and in that, of course, I was also part of that committee. And in the year 2017, the committee was constituted. In 6 months' time, we gave the report making various things, and one of them was, come out with the clarity on redevelopment. If there is a redevelopment dispute between the members, if the members do not vacate, if there is a self-development has to happen, then there has to be, one particular authority who can do the things, who can resolve the disputes. The way we have a real estate regulatory authority, same way maybe housing regulatory authority we can have. All this has been suggested, and in the cabinet last on 31st, 30th, I think, yes, 31st of July, I suppose. Yeah, 31st of July 2018, last 31st July, in the cabinet meeting, it has been approved. That particular separate chapter for the housing society has been recommended. In that, there is a redevelopment chapter. In that redevelopment chapter, if you think that is the same circular is going to be revamped, this circular is going to be today, when we discuss at the end of the day, this 3rd January 2009 circular will be renamed as maybe whatever the date in 2018 circular. So in that, few things, whatever changes you want, if you are able to give me with your experience, we will see that it gets incorporated in the new circular. And 14th, that is on 13th is the Monday, 14th, there is a meeting in the Mantralaya to understand how that particular redevelopment circular can be modified, so that earlier 75% attendance is required to hold the general body, and 75% people need to give consent. Now it will be 50%. This is what has been recommended. 50% people will constitute the quorum, and because lot of redevelopment now is allowed 51% consent, so 50% members present in that, even if 51% agree for the redevelopment, then the redevelopment can go ahead. And so many amendments are suggested, because across the board, whether it is a slum redevelopment, whether it is a tenanted building, whether it is any other type of building, everywhere it is 51% has been recommended. And in the case of a housing federation, there are, let us say, 15-20 societies in one locality. In that, even 51% societies agree for the cluster development, then remaining 49% societies need to compulsorily join in that cluster development and go ahead with the redevelopment. So this has been recommended. So if you think any changes need to be done in 3rd January 2009, which of course we'll be discussing in the last session today, so you can give your input. So with this, as I said, today we will discuss on what is redevelopment, what are the advantages, what are the risks involved, and then DCR provisions, and then next is about 3rd January 2009. Tomorrow we will be discussing more on self-redevelopment,